Hey book friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm here to share the third person narrative fantasies that I highly recommend you read. I know we love our first person narratives, but these are ones that I just believe make third person so elite. You know, third person's kind of slept on, I feel, because in third person, you're just like this overall watcher of characters and knowing everything and also realizing like these people don't know all of the information you know. And so it's so anxiety inducing that it's exhilarating at the same time. I don't know if anybody else feels that way when they read third person, but I do. So I'm going to go through a couple of the books that I think you should read. Trust of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson has this really interesting narration to it. I don't want to spoil much of the interesting factors about it just because it's so important to the plot. And we don't want to spoil the plot of this really cozy, fantastically funny book. This basically follows Tress, who is a part of this island and realizes that the childhood love of her life basically left with the sorceress to be a trade off for the kingdom. And so she's on a journey that basically takes her in a wild ride. And it's so funny. It's just so Brandon Sanderson. And I have read this one as well as Mistborn, but I'm definitely in my Cosmere verse this year. And I think just the narration itself and the way the story is told is so witty and so comical. And I just think that it plays such a big part in the plot and the storytelling. And I feel like this is what made the book. So highly recommend you read this if you haven't already. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab is such a lyrical narrated book. V.E. Schwab's writing is so beautifully constructed prose. I just want these books to be like out of the page and just like flutter all around me. That's how I feel when I read something by V.E. Schwab. It's so descriptive. And I think her third person really helps when talking about characters' inner feelings and really getting you to see that descriptive factor of how they're feeling, what's around them, and comparisons like metaphors and things like that to really solidify what the story is supposed to make you feel. She has a new book coming out this year called Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, and this literally gives me the same factor as The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Emotionally trauma filled, but also emotionally wrecked. It's just, she's just so good at it. And I love it. And I love to be here for it. So, highly recommend you read this if you haven't already. And if you have, definitely look forward to Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil in June of this year because it's literally this with a twist. The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I think this book doesn't get as much credit as it does, and I don't see it talked about a lot. I did see it talked about a lot when it first came out and a while back, but this third person is the same reason why I love The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. It's so lyrically beautiful. You're getting that descriptive factor, and I think that's another reason why I love third person in fantasy is because you're getting that description that you wouldn't get otherwise. And I don't think anything else could really give me what this felt like. The beauty of the circus, the beauty of the people, what they're seeing definitely stood out a lot in this book. And I think in general, the story is just so wonderful. And if you haven't read this already, please do. I haven't read The Starless Sea yet by Erin Morgenstern, but I plan to. And I know it's going to be just as good as this. Next up, we have our Six of Crows duology. I will not stop recommending this enough. It is written in the third person. Each chapter is about a specific person, but it's not told in first person. It's actually following that person and their feelings and stuff like that and what they're seeing and their basically their action points in the plot. I think that is also the same reason why I said in the beginning, you're that watcher, especially because this book is a heist kind of plot line. You're watching all the pieces fall together and being the one that knows what happened in someone else's part of the piece, but knowing that that other person doesn't know that. And it's just so exciting and exhilarating. And I think that's what makes this story so beautiful and so wonderful and so action packed and enjoyable. And if you haven't already heard of the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, well, here you are. It is literally the most interesting way to tell a story, and it's definitely N.K. Jemisin. I specifically want to point out the fifth season right here. It is a great start. It's multiple POVs, but it all like really tells the story at the end, and it kind of follows into here. Eventually, this kind of like becomes a single POV at one point, but I would just really want to say the fifth season. It might throw you off at first, definitely threw me off, but I highly recommend you read this series. It's so good. The magic system is amazing in general. And I think just the way she kicked this off was chef's kiss. If you want a third person, please read these. Not talk about these books enough. I need more people to also appreciate third person like I do. I do love first person, don't get me wrong, but I think the third person POV really helps with the storytelling in some of these too. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful day and happy reading.